Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Today I wanted to talk with you about food storage and the common mistakes that people make. We know it's important to have a stockpile of food. We need some easy, open and eat, doesn't require any cooking food, so we can just have something in a minute. We want to have a nice pantry full of canned and packaged foods that we can do with a little bit of cooking and put meals together, have a large variety of those foods, and then we also want to have the longest lasting foods, the dried foods that can be put away and last for 30 years. But then we need to actually think about all the little details about having our food stockpile, making sure we have the variety we need and that we're utilizing it correctly so that we get the full value out of those dollars we spent on food. The first food storage mistake is buying food you don't intend to eat. If it's something you don't like, just because it's cheap or someone else has it on their list, don't buy it. Everything that you spend your money on and you add into your prepping stockpile should be foods that you're willing to eat, supplies that you plan to actually use. Otherwise, it's a waste of not only your dollars, but your storage space that you're storing foods you don't want. That doesn't make any sense. So if there's something you don't like and you have it in your stockpile, use it, donate it, purge it, get rid of it so that you actually can replace it then with foods that you do know how to use, you do intend to eat, and you enjoy having. Next, we want to think about variety. We always hear beans and rice and beans, but that can't be all that you have. If the power goes out, how are you going to prepare these foods? If you lose your job and money is tight, do you really want to start living on rice and beans every single day? And so you don't want to start with just buckets of rice and beans that can last for 30 years. You want to start with open and eat foods, easy to prepare foods, and then have these long-lasting foods. But you also need to make sure that you know how to prepare rice and beans, that you include it in your food repertoire, into your meal plan, so you occasionally have rice and beans, so that not only do you know how to cook them, you have recipes that you enjoy eating, and it allows you to continue to rotate your food. The next food storage mistake is forgetting the first in, first out. If you already have a can of tomatoes and then you buy another one, you don't just push this one to the back, because then the ones in the back are the old ones and they're going to become out of date, expired, and maybe no longer good to eat. Take the time when you bring home another can that you push the old food forward and put the new food behind it so that you have first in, first out. And then as you use that one, you push the next one to the front and any new food goes behind that one. Make sure that you're rotating your food so that you have it to last the longest, because there's always something fresh. You're pushing it through, you're utilizing it, you're rotating it, replacing it, and then you have your working pantry. You're working your way through it using that food, making meals, and making the most out of your food storage dollars. Next, let's talk about storing your food. If you buy things like dried beans, rice, sugar, all those different kinds of long-lasting foods, they need to be stored airtight in a cool, dark, dry environment. If you take just say your bag of rice and you just stick it in the pantry like this, the bag can get a hole in it, the rice can get stale, the food can get spilled all over, something else could get spilled on it, and then it isn't going to be good anymore. Take the time and the steps to put your food into airtight containers and then store it cool, dark, and dry. The better you store your food, the longer it's going to last. You don't have to buy special containers. Maybe you can find them in a thrift store, or you can recycle something, as long as it's only held food and you get it completely clean and dry. But also don't use something like a milk jug, because you can't get those completely clean and they're not sturdy enough to last. They're very thin. You want to get a sturdy container so that it'll last. Another food storage mistake is not storing water. If you're loading up on easy to prepare foods, you probably need to stir in some water to make them. If you're storing beans and rice, you need water to even cook them at all. Plus, you need fresh drinking water to keep you alive under all circumstances. There isn't a day or an emergency that happens that you don't need some fresh drinking water. So make sure that you're storing at least 1 gallon per person per day for everyone in your family for as many days as possible. And then if you can't store enough water because you simply don't have room, make sure that you find ways to have water purification tablets or water filters so that if the water is still running in your house, but you don't have any more clean drinking water, you can get that water out of your faucet, even if it's been contaminated or something, and you can then still provide fresh drinking water by filtering and purifying it so that you have the sustenance you need. Food storage doesn't have to be complicated. We need to figure out what we like to eat, buy some of that food. Then we need to use, rotate, replace it. And make sure that you're thinking about the food items that you're buying. How do you plan to use them? How can they work together? Put some meal ideas together so that even if you come home and you're just tired, you can grab something out of your pantry and make a meal for dinner so that you can get through your emergency of getting food on the table, make the most of your food dollars, and then get your life going again. It'll give you time to then gather some strength to keep your life running smoothly. That's what prepping is about, lifestyle insurance so that you can keep going, living your life the best that you can on an everyday basis. Leave it in the comments below. What are some other tips and tricks you have for us to make sure that we are not making mistakes with our food storage? We're making sure that our food dollars and our food supply is there for us when we need it. I hope you'll like my video, share it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.